Hey y'all. All right, let's do one of Braden's favorites. Bacon ranch chicken pasta. Is that what I call it? One or the other. Chicken, bacon ranch chicken. I don't know. But he loves it. And it is a one skillet dish. And it's a very likable dish by anybody. And y'all, I cannot remember. I know I have made so many pasta dishes and I can't remember now what all I've made on here and what I haven't made. All right, so I don't know if I've made this, or if I did, I probably made it different than I'm making it tonight. Y'all know how I am about that. So in my skillet here, I have already fried up a little bit of bacon. And so now I have my chicken here. Let me get this going in here because it's starting to get heated up. Oh, that's not that bad. Anyway, so I left just a little bit of the bacon grease in there, and the rest of it I poured out in a little bowl over here because we may need to add some more later. If not, then I'll just put it in my little jar with the rest of my stuff. And then y'all notice I added just a little, about half a teaspoon or so of that butter with canola oil in it. I love that. I'll show it to you in a second. And then so we're just going to cook these up, and we're going to go ahead and cook them all the way. Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit all these. I'm going to leave it at that, and that way I can cook those other ones. As you can see, these are super thin. That is how I like, hang on, let me get this right here. That's how I like my chicken breast. And the great thing about this is I have these in the freezer, and I already had all of the work done. I already had them trimmed up, and I always, if they're really thick, I slice them in half, pound them out, do all of that because I like them super thin like that. And I guess I had some left over, and I had already done that and popped them in a freezer bag. So I thought, oh, well, this makes it even better. However, if I would have had just frozen chicken breast that hadn't already had this prep work done to it, I probably would have went on ahead and sliced them or chopped them up in chunks and cooked them that way because it would have been easier. But since I already had this done, I'm just going to cook them whole like this, and then we will slice them up to bite-sized pieces, because that's kind of how you want this chicken to be in this dish. This is one of those that I don't necessarily love to do rotisserie chicken in, just because it's better with the chunks of chicken. And of course, Braden likes the chunk of chicken. Okay, and on my chicken here, I seasoned it with some this rotisserie chicken season. I love this stuff, y'all. And this my Cavenders, I went back to one of my favorites, one that Kanan introduced me to, and me and Braden both fell in love with it. So Cavenders, rotisserie chicken, and a little bit of smoked paprika. Okay, both the Cavenders and the chicken season has salt in it, so we didn't have to worry about none of that. Anyway, I'm just gonna let these cook, y'all, and I'm gonna flip them here in a minute. We're gonna, like I said, I think I told you, we're gonna cook these all the way until they're done. We're gonna remove them from the skillet, but we want them to get done. Anyway, I'll be back in a second, y'all. All right, so our first batch of chicken is done. I'll show it to you in just a second. We're gonna get the other ones in here. And the skillet was starting to get a little bit dry, so I just put in another little drizzle of the bacon grease and another little half a spoonful of the butter, okay? Because we're going to need some left in here to saute up our other stuff too. So I'm just going to cook. Oh, let me show you these. Now, you don't have to cook yours as long as I do, but y'all know how I like it. I love to cook it like that. Now, I don't know how long I cooked it. You just cook yours however long you want to get to the color and however done you think you want them to be. Y'all know I don't like to tell time when it comes to meats. Alright. Now some of these must have been chicken breast, and some of these must have been the little tenders, because as you can see, I have these little pieces like this, which is making me think, oh shoot, I just picked up that raw chicken with this, and now I've picked up these. Lordy mercy, I gotta figure this out. But these must have been some of the little tenders, and I pulled the tendon out and it made them really small like this. Okay, I'm gonna have to pop this back in here for just a second. What was wrong with me? Why in the world did I do that? That's that same one that I picked up. Well, anyway, I'm gonna have to let that one sit in there for just a second, and then I'll just get it out, and then I won't touch any more of the other ones. Have you ever? I tell you what, it's always something, ain't it? I'll be back in a second, y'all. Okay, y'all, so I done got paranoid thinking about touching this chicken. So I've done put every single bit of it back in the skillet after those other three got done, okay? I waited for them to get done, put the rest of it back in here. I put a little bit of extra butter to have some moisture in there, and I'm gonna pop the lid on it and just let these hang out here for just a few minutes. I've washed up my utensil here. I don't know why in the world I did that with putting them in there and with the raw chicken and then doing that. I just wasn't thinking. I don't know why I did that. Normally I will just use my fingertips and pick them up and place them in there and then just, wash it, of course. I got excited, y'all see this new little gadget I got here? I love it, but I think I got a little too excited and wanted to pick them up and place them in there like that, and then not even thinking about the consequences of that. But anyway, we may have overcooked chicken, but we ain't gonna be sick. All right, so let these cook for just a few minutes to make me feel better about it, just in case, and I'll come back and then we'll get this thrown together. Okay, y'all, now we're back on track. I hope so, anyway. Let's, well, I thought I was. Let me see. I got all mixed up. Now we're going to start making our sauce. Okay, so, of course, some butter. You always want to start a good sauce with butter, right? I've let this sit out here. It's done got really soft. We're going to start with some butter. And we're just going to leave all that in there. Most of the time we probably wouldn't have that many dark crumbs, but hey. We won't tell the whole story. Alright, and then I have one, or I think this is about half a shallot here. I don't think this was a whole one. It was just a little piece I had laying over here. And so I'm going to pop that in there. I just diced it up really, really small. Now, if I didn't have that shallot, I probably would just put a little bit of garlic in. I don't even think I would put any onion. But you certainly can. You can do onion, garlic, shallot, whichever you want to do. This is a very, very flexible dish. And you kids, if they're picky like mine, they'll never know that little bit of shallot and stuff is in there. You'll never know it. Alright, y'all. I'm just going to let this cook for just a few minutes. Let that shallot get good and soft. And I'll come back and we'll start tossing the other stuff in. Now, going into our sauce, I have about 6 ounces here of cream cheese. 1 block is 8 ounces. I did about 6. You can do about 4 if you want to. Just 4 to 6, I would say. Alright. So just going to let that cook around in there for a minute. Let it start melting down. Turn it down a little bit. Alright. The shallot, I let it cook for maybe 5-6 minutes or so. Just enough to where you can start getting that crunchy out of it. Because as you see, it's going to continue to cook as we start going along with our sauce, okay? So I guess let's go ahead and just start adding some of our other stuff. I'm going to add in, now I say for both of our liquids here, we're going to do some heavy cream and some chicken broth. You can do 1 to 2 cups of both, or 2 cups of one, 1 cup of the other. I like to start with about 1 cup and then go from there. Now that broth, of course, is the pasta water, you know, and I always just put in some chicken bouillon to make it pasta water and broth all in one, okay? And then, so I reserved about 2 cups. I don't think we're going to need that, but I always like to have it just in case. So 1 cup so far that we have put in there. And if you're like me and you've had it sitting out for a minute, let me tell y'all this too real quick. Give it a stir, you know, before you put it in, because a lot of that good stuff will be on the bottom. And you don't want to, let's see, I still didn't do hardly a whole 1 cup. You don't want to leave all that good stuff down there, okay? So, I don't want this to curdle up. I wasn't even thinking the way I was adding this stuff in here. I done got shook up over that chicken. So I'm going to wait a second before I add in my heavy cream to kind of get this smoothed back out. I may have to put in a little bit of lemon juice, but let me just, I'm going to sit here and just keep mixing this to kind of get this smoothed back out the way I want it to be. And then we'll get going with our other stuff. All right, now we are going to whisk in. Normally I would use, like I told you, I would use heavy cream. I did not have any. I had half and half. So that's what I'm using. And remember, I put a little bit of extra butter in there, so that will just kind of make up the difference with that fat that you would get from the heavy cream. I think I've told y'all this before, but anytime you need heavy cream and if all you have is milk or half and half, all you need to do is add some butter to it, and it works just fine. Alright, so I did 1 cup, and like I said, we may need to add a little bit more, but that's just usually what I always start with both of them. And so then if you need a little bit more liquid, you can decide, do I want to add broth or do I want to add heavy cream? We got this smoothed back out. Let me tell you what I typically do if I have a sauce that's trying to curdle up on me, just put you in a splash of lemon juice. And all I did was I had, you know, I have one of the little bottles in the fridge, and I just poured a little bit in the cap and tossed in. It does not take much, and if it's not too far gone, it works really, really well. So keep that in mind. A lot of you probably already know that. I know there's a lot of good cooks on here that have way more knowledge than I do, but it's always good to share little tips and ideas, isn't it? All right, y'all, I am just going to let this sit here and hang out for a few minutes. I have it just down on low, and I'm gonna get the chicken diced up, and we got a few more things we got to add in here, but most of our hard work is done. All right, let's add the rest of our stuff. So I have just a ranch packet here, and I'm gonna start with about half of this package. This is one of those things you can add the whole pack if you want. You can add a tablespoon, just however strong you want it to be. It's pretty strong, and of course it has a lot of salt in it, so be mindful of that. So we're gonna add that in. All right, I'll finish mixing it all up in a minute. I'm gonna do some pepper. And a little bit of parsley. I don't know how much I have left in this little thing. I want to put some on top. Well, I've got my chives. I'll just do the chives on top, I guess. Well, I'll save just a little bit. Yeah. All right, and I have just this little bit of shredded cheese left, so I'm going to put that in there. This is kind of optional. You can have whatever cheese you want, but I mostly focus on like the Parmesan cheese for a dish like this. So I'm going to leave a little bit in there for Belle. She loves this. All right, and then I have this shredded parm that I'm going to add in. Just, I don't know, it's maybe 1/4 of a cup or so. And then I have this grated parm that I'm going to add in. About the same, about 1/4 of a cup. All right. What you looking at, Belle? Y'all see how she's popped up over there? She knows, she hears the sound of that cheese bag. She knows what it is. I saved you some of your little shredded cheese over here, Belle. I saved some out for you, sweet girl. All right, is that all of our stuff as far as our, let me think. I need to taste it. Just to like check that seasoning and stuff, and then we're gonna add our pasta in. Oh yeah, let me tell y'all, before I cooked this, reason why I say this one skillet dish, y'all know how I do. I boiled my pasta in this first and drained it, saved the pasta water, then cooked the bacon in there, and then went on from there. So I always just cook my pasta ahead of time. That's good. I always just cook my pasta ahead of time. But now if you want to get it all going at one time, you can definitely use another pot to boil your pasta in. I have just the little bow ties here. Y'all know I want to tell you, don't overcook them. These do take a little bit longer to cook though, because that center, that little part right there, it takes it a little bit longer to cook. And I'll probably add the rest of those in. I just want to check and see where we're at first. Kids always love this dish, y'all. This is one of those that I call it like a safe dish. You can't really go wrong with it because everybody always loves it. All right, now we're gonna do some more liquid for sure. I don't like it thick like that. All right, some more of our broth pasta water. Let's see, let's go down to half a cup. So that's gonna give us 1.5 cups. I hadn't made this in so long, I couldn't remember how much I normally use, but I knew it was 1 to 2 cups, somewhere around there. Yeah, that's a lot better. Because that after that, once that pasta heats back up, it's going to soak up a lot of this liquid. So I'll probably do another shot of our half and half. Did I put it up? Lordy mercy. I guess I did. So, I'm not going to measure it out, y'all. I'm just going to do it kind of like this. So I'm going to say that was about 1/4 of a cup. So that gives us 1.5 of our broth, 1 1/4 of our cream, whichever one you're using. You can do milk, heavy cream, half and half, any of it works. All right, y'all, I'm just going to let that sit there and get back good and hot, and then all we have left to do is mix in some bacon and our chicken. I got it all chopped up, and I'm just gonna kind of clean up a little bit, let this sit here. We might have to add a little bit more liquid, but as of right now, it looks great. And I'll be back in a second. Hey y'all, let's finish off our dish here. I've just let this sit here, let that liquid, it kind of, or the sauce, just kind of let it glue to the pasta. Just had the lid sitting on it on a low temperature. Now I'm just going to add to the top, I'm going to add a little bit more of my shredded parm. You can do grated, you can do another kind of cheese if you want. Like I said, this is so versatile, y'all. All right, got that, and then I am going to toss our chicken in. I put it on this paper plate because y'all know I was cleaning up and I wanted to go ahead and get that plate washed. Oh, man. But I love better than anything to have everything washed up by the time I sit down to eat. I feel like it just makes me enjoy it so much better. All right, and some of that bacon. I'm not going to use all this bacon. But I cooked about half a pack, so, all right. And then what I like to do, instead of just totally mixing it all up, now you can do it however you want, but this is just how I like to. I just kind of like to poke that down in there, but I like for you to still be able to see the chicken and kind of be able to tell it apart. But now you can do it however you want to do. And what I would normally do is this right here, and then I would pop the lid back on it and just let it sit for a bit. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and get some out and try it so y'all can see. But let me see. And then I do want to put, then I'll do a little bit more cheese. Now listen, let me tell y'all something. I was thinking about this a second ago while I was washing dishes. You know, I do all this stuff and I'll stop and I'll let it sit and hang out and then I'll come back and do this and do that. You got to remember, that's just my style of cooking. I have a passion for cooking and I love to do it that way. Definitely especially this kind of meal. Now, you know, sometimes I tell y'all this is a meal that you're going to have to tend to it a lot. This is one of those, once you cook your pasta and your chicken, your bacon, and you can even use the real bacon bits. I meant to tell y'all that, and that makes it even quicker and less expensive. I've done that plenty of times. What was I saying? Oh yeah, once you get those things done, if you want to toss it all back in this skillet, give it a good mix, pop the lid on it, and, you know, have it on low or whatever, and then come back and check it in a few minutes and then serve it up. You can definitely do that with this meal. So don't think that you can't, that this is a long, complicated meal. I just make it more than what it has to be because that's just how I cook. But I understand being, you know, like I said, I've been that busy working mom and all of that stuff, so I get it. This is definitely one of those meals that you can do that with and have it done in no time. Or even if it's not about having the time, maybe you don't like to cook, but you've got kids that you've got to feed. So this is something that you can get on the dinner table quick, and it does not take that much work, okay? So just keep that in mind. If I were to get on here, y'all, seriously, and just throw everything together and shoot like a 5-6 minute video, just throwing it all in there, that wouldn't be me. That's just not how I cook. I have no judgment against people that do, and most of the ones on here that do that, it's mostly like a job. And again, that's totally fine. It's their full-time job, and that's just what they do. They share recipes, and that's great. It's just, but what I'm saying is, it would take away my purpose and my joy if I were to do it that way. And I know a lot of you, you know, love the way that I do things. I'm just saying, you know, you got these people that come on here and they say things, and it does not bother me. It does not hurt my feelings. So don't y'all think it does. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are all different styles of cooks on here. It's kind of like on TV. I'm not going to sit there and watch a Western and complain about it, because I know I don't like Westerns. So, you know, it amazes me whenever, you know, people will do stuff like that, and it's just like, well, don't watch it. There's tons of other recipes and ways that you can find stuff on here, and we're all still happy, you know? I don't get it. Like I said, it don't hurt my feelings a bit. It blows my mind. And a lot of times, a lot of the ugly comments are from, like, middle-aged and up women. They're like the worst. And it just blows my mind. I'm thinking, golly, I just didn't realize that older women were like that. Oh, well. It's their problem, not mine. That's so good, y'all. And the only reason why I say that about that you can throw it all in there and make it a quick meal, because if you are a busy working mom, I want my page to still be beneficial to you, because I do have quick and easy recipes. I may not cook it real quick, but you can. It's a recipe to where you can. And it's a recipe to where I probably have. You know what I'm saying? So I still want it to be beneficial. Just know that you can do it in a quicker time frame than maybe I do. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I was thinking about that while I was washing dishes a second ago, and I thought I've got to say that because it's something I've been wanting to say. Mm. This is a good one, y'all. All right. I am going to get off of here. Oh, yeah, and I did put in a pinch of crushed red pepper because I love it. It just gives it a little bit of kick. I'm going to try not to eat much of this. I'm going to eat this, but most of this is going to Braden because y'all know I'm trying to watch my carbs. It's summertime. Anyway, I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.